I see. It's interesting that you say that because number one, for me, I don't believe that. I think when you look at the playoff overall, the one of the big differences and differentiators is the quarterback position. Like it's rare that you have a quarterback that's in the playoff that either wins that's just in the playoff that's not a high level guy. I mean, a guy I would look at in Jake Coker, who I don't think he played at a high level, but when you look at it, I mean, he was a 4-star recruit, if I'm not mistaken, for Alabama, and I think it might have been 15 or 16, but it just overall, I think probably Stetson Bennett is probably the worst quarterback I would say that has made the college football playoff. If I'm just running
You put
through
some
my
respect on that
mind,
man's name. He is a national
whoa, whoa,
champion.
whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm talking pure rankings. I'm not talking about who
All
he is
right,
or quality. I'm
Okay.
I'm
talking
just
just
saying.
rankings.
I think he's played better than some of those quarterbacks. But yeah,
And I would agree with that.
yeah.
Being disrespectful.
He's been the lowest rated one coming into college
Correct.
football.
Yep. And that's all I'm saying.
Yep.
And now I think that Michigan has one of those guys. So I don't think it's some large gap. I think this year playing Georgia was a large gap, but I also think Georgia and anybody was a pretty large gap. So it's not as if Michigan just couldn't cut it and was nowhere near. I just think Georgia was that good. I think Alabama caught him at a perfect time in that first game, and they caught him at a bad time the next game. So I think Michigan has that guy, and now it's just about taking advantage of that because you look at even some of the 4 seeds in Ian Book and Baker Mayfield and those types of quarterbacks. I mean, I think you have that guy on campus. So I just don't think that I don't think that what Michigan did this year is the best they can possibly hope for.
That's nice, Desmond. You're right. We may have our next Mayfield or Kyler Murray, or whoever you want to throw, Ian Book, whoever you want to say. But think about the final result of those teams that those guys played with. Same thing.
Baker Mayfield was up by what 28-10 or something like that.
It is team win.
Okay, but I'm saying, okay, would you like to be up 28-10 at the halftime on a
48 points in a playoff game?
I would enjoy almost any different
outcome
outcome than what I experienced against Georgia in January. Any other experience would have been better than what I experienced. So yes, would I take that?
I'm saying you have a guy who's better than those guys. That's what I'm saying.
You're saying JJ is better than Baker Mayfield?
I think so.
Do we know?
Really?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for that to be true, but time will tell.
Yeah.
Even so, it takes more than that. It takes more to overcome. And even Ohio State, there'll be that 4th team in that level, but they're like those first top 3 teams, Georgia, Clemson. I think this was an anomaly.
You're putting Clemson over Ohio State. Really?
They got two national titles in the last 5
We're not
6
talking
years.
about what happened 7 years ago with Deshaun Watson, the quarterback. We're talking about right now. The last time those two teams hit the field, Ohio State blitzed them.
That is true.
More
like
the
season before, if truth be known, if there was
that literally is the last time
they would have won that game too. But
no, I understand. I just look,
anyway,
Dabo.
I think Ohio State's a better program than Clemson.
The qualifier to get there is a high level quarterback, and you've got one. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, no, I get it. I just, I think, you guys understand the pain that I've dealt with, and the rest of us dealt with as Michigan fans. That's a level that we can only dream about. I mean, hell, before this year, I thought winning the Big Ten was only something we could dream about and beating Ohio State. That's how bad it got. So, look, man, you get a generational talent, sure, you have a shot. But one thing that you did see in the Michigan-Georgia game is that the speed and athleticism on that level is so different, and to have it almost at every positional group. To see the speed and athleticism of a Nakobe Dean at the linebacker, to see the size and physical prowess of a Jordan Davis on the D line, right? Like to see the freakish athleticism of a James Cook, who I think is a really quality back, right? It's just you can't just have one of those guys, right? When I think of Nicole Bedeen, I'm like, okay, what's the closest comp Michigan linebacker I can think about in the last 10 years? Devin Bush. That's one guy, right? So like it's it's tough, man. It's tough because you can't just have 2 or 3 guys on both sides of the ball and be at that level. You got to have depth. It's so much to get to, and I'm just not sure that Michigan would ever be able to put together enough to do that. That's just me, but call me pessimistic.